Part 1, right, wearing wigs. Actors and actresses wearing hair pieces or wigs to make their character they're playing in a film believable, right? Wearing hair pieces, that's where I'll subtitle this part 1 of wearing hair pieces successfully. Jamie Lee Curtis, she's wearing a long grey bob. I can see in the movie she's wearing a long grey bob, long grey shoulder length bob. That's one style wig, and another hairpiece she's wearing, it's where it's been styled but still has length, like styled sort of thing. So that's 2 hairpieces I can see. Another bit in the trailer is where she's at a shooting range and her hair is sort of like back and over her ears. Well, I think it's simply just the long straightish bob, the one I mentioned in the first hairpiece, just held back with the ear muffs to protect her ears from the sound of the gunshot. And I think the close-ups of her face where she's biblically almost self-prophesying that to herself, the inevitability of Michael's return, almost saint-like, under a shining light, close-up of her face. That's in the trailer. I think you'll might know well know what I mean by that particular clip. I think that hairpiece again is the straight hairpiece, because the fringe bit where it rides her forehead looks unstyled. So I think in all, I think in the trailer so far I've already seen 2 hairpieces she's going to be wearing as Laurie Strode in this upcoming Halloween movie. Wearing hair, having hair, it almost becomes you, right? In real life, when you grow your hair, I've always had long hair as an adult, and as a youngster up to late teens, I've had short hair, so I know exactly what I'm talking about. You, as a human being, as an individual, you become your hair, and vice versa, so to speak. The problem I had with the player Woody Harrelson going up through the 90s and all his films, simply just threw on a short hair piece in all his characters, and I could see straight away that they were just hair pieces, because I just could tell. And as I was growing up older and myself maturing, I would identify that players, and with myself, players you see in films with hair pieces, that to give away is that they don't actually touch the hair with their hands. And during particular scenes in particular movies in which they are wearing hair pieces, they don't actually sort of like a person with long hair would do. Is, say if I was like to go into my back garden, going to do some semi-heavy labouring, say if I was to go and do some plastering on the walls, or some washing of my windows, or if I was getting the hoover out, I just grab my hair and tie it in a snatch, right? Dead giveaway movies is when players are wearing hair pieces, in which looks just as bad as a bad script or bad editing in a movie, is when a player doesn't wear their hairpiece correctly, right? The first dread I have with this upcoming Halloween movie is that Jamie Lee Curtis's hairpieces are not going to look real. That is my biggest concern, is that she's not going to look like, the hair she's wearing is not going to me. I think it's not going to look. I fear the pieces she's wearing aren't going to look like that. Aren't going to look like her own hair. Where she's standing in the trailer, intensely looking at the sheriff, saying how she feels about certain things regards Michael. She's just standing there with her hair just dropped to one side. In real life, if you were protesting something to an authority figure, you would hold your hair if it was longer. Or if you were actually a physical type person, say if I was going to the gym, I'd snatch my hair back for an hour, get me? Part where she's in the trailer, Jamie Lee Curtis is gun in hand, and again at the firing range, and it's also in the teaser trailers where she's walking up toward the mannequins and where she's then letting off some bullets with a little rifle, handheld. I wouldn't walk like that. I wouldn't have my hair at that length, the hairpiece she's wearing, at least shoulder length, swaying like that, free. One wouldn't, with long hair. I'm telling you, as a person with long hair, if I was at a firing range approaching my shot, in this case, as Laurie Strode was approaching her in her range, the distance far off the mannequins, which she was then going to be letting off to. As she would walk up to them, she would naturally snatch her hair back, right? Dead giveaway is when a player in a film doesn't make their hair real, doesn't look real, and it can be just as much, as I say, as distracting and removing for an audience member as is bad editing in a movie, bad scripting, tight budget overall, etc, etc. There's another part in the movie which stood out to me where she's definitely wearing a wig. Is section the first bit I noted in the teasers was, which I commented on in my teaser reaction, was where the first point I made in that was where it shows a clip which looks like, it's sort of like where she's having a grapple with Michael, and presumably that's in the finale of the film, where she's actually dagger in hand and she's throwing back her arm. It only takes 2 seconds to snatch your hair back. Someone with at least shoulder length, straight hair, which it looks like in that clip, when I say the camera's looking at the character swing back, and then they get it sort of like a semi-close of her face, noting the hair in motion, and it's not the styled hairpiece I've seen away, it's the straight one. If I was doing something physical, I wouldn't have my hair like that. It only takes 2 seconds to get your hair and snatch it back. One having long hair would do that instinctively, right? Before any kind of physical graft, get me? The thing I fear most about this up-and-coming Halloween movie is that Jamie Lee Curtis, and because she's not really had long hair in her life, is gonna slip at the first hurdle by not wearing her hair right. Those hair pieces she's wearing in the movie correctly, whichever word you want to use. That's my biggest fear in this movie. That's the first point I'll make in this series, is the art of a player wearing hair correctly. It's not just a matter of putting on an expensive piece of wig, going down to the most luxurious, expensive boudoir in town and getting the most plushiest hairpiece made of the most naturalist hair, the most expensively packaged hair, most beautifully coloured, most natural hairpiece in town, and putting it on. You've got to wear it right. You've got to wear it right for it to be believable. It has to be worn correctly. That's my gripe number 1 in this series, okay? Back for part 2, okay? Comment below, let me know your thoughts on hair pieces, what your experience of watching plays and movies wearing hair, and in relation to what I've been saying. See you for part 2.